guys, welcome back to Marriage Monday. We are so glad that you are back with us on this wonderful evening. We hope you guys are having a good Monday, and we just want to talk to you guys a little bit about...
I don't know why I'm laughing.
You always laugh.
I have the giggles tonight, so you'll just have to excuse me because this is a very serious subject, and I just keep laughing. So, anyway, I don't know why I'm laughing. But anyway, is there anything else you want to say in the intro?
That's it.
Welcome back to Marriage Monday. Ruth did an incredibly good job. So, we are going to go straight into the subject. The past 2 weeks, we've been covering divorce. Mm-hmm. Tough subject. It's okay, we're going to make it through it together. So, over the past 2 weeks, we talked about the different warning signs. And this week, what we're going to do is continue on in that subject. And we're going to talk for the next 2 weeks. So tonight and next Monday, and then we're going to move on because we have a couple of other things we want to start getting into. But next week, we have a special treat. And so I hope you can stay tuned for that. We have somebody that's going to be coming on and speaking with us. Yeah. And so stay tuned for next week. But after the past couple of weeks, I don't want to do that. After the past couple of weeks, we were doing warning signs, and we talked 1 through 10 of some of the major things you could look for inside a relationship. We covered a lot on, and then even several episodes ago, excuse me, we talked about communication and unresolved conflict, things like that. And so hopefully some of these tools that we're sharing with you, you're able to use, and you're able to maybe see some of the things you didn't see before. So, but tonight, what we wanted to do is cover basically 4 more areas. We broke them up of some of the things that we saw in our relationship and some of the things we've seen in relationships. And so we want to make sure that you kind of keep a watchful eye for these things. And then we're going to try and help you navigate through some of the stuff. We don't have everything figured out. You know, Ruth tries to leave me every day, and she can't stay away from me. But no, serious note, there are things that we walk through, and we'll just share our personal testimonies with you and the way that we overcame it. But tonight we just wanted to kind of talk off just a little bit of a discussion. We put 3 areas down. We said losing connection, complacency, and autopilot. So they're kind of all in the same area, but excuse me, sorry, got cough. What we noticed kind of within the first 6 months of our marriage, would you say, to 1 year?
Yeah.
You don't even know what I'm going to say. So
losing
connection.
I did too know.
All right, good. Saying. She's keeping up with it. No, within the first 6 months to a year or so, we lost connection. We're really losing connection before that. And when we say losing connection, it's the times that you're going to come together, the connecting points. So it could be within, your faith. It could be within all this other stuff. It could be just your daily routine of talking that we mentioned to you before. Coming together and finding those connection points. And then so what you start doing is we've talked about Danny Silk, you start distancing yourself, and when you distance yourself, it's usually because of fear, anxiety, you don't want to get hurt, so you're trying to protect yourself. What you start doing is putting yourself like in an autopilot. Is there anything you want to say about autopilot?
It's just really easy just to go into autopilot. Life happens, and you get yourself busy, you're busy with kids, and then the next thing you know, it's just that you feel that separation between you and your spouse. And so it's just one of those things that you've got to be actively pushing to have that connection. And no matter how long your days are or whatever, life is going crazy, that you're just checking in with each other, that you're constantly checking to see how your spouse is doing. Sometimes it's just a question like, how are you? Because if we're going, it'll just be in passing sometimes. But that you're actively trying to connect with that person at some point during the day. I don't know what life or what your communication styles are.
And we gave you some tools. You can come up with your own communication style. We recommend that you spend a minimum of 30 minutes, really longer than that, but 30 minutes a day. Usually right now the kids are in bed, so we can actually talk, but those are usually the things that really keep your relationship alive and your communication alive. The autopilot, the biggest thing when we were first married, I don't know if there's any guys out there that love Xbox, but Xbox was wonderful because there are so many games. There was Halo, and there's, I could name the whole list. The problem is that video games were okay. Ruth and I were okay. We even played video games together, but then it got into this autopilot thing.
We played video games because I was trying to come into your world. Because I did not care about video games.
So we'll see you next week. Thank you for joining us on Marriage Monday. We have a lot to work out tonight. Anyway, let's loop it back. We would play video games.
Yes,
Ruth and I are going to have a conversation later. But what I would do is sometimes come home from work from a 12-hour shift or so and seeing all these people all day, talking to these people all day, and then I would flip it into AutoPilot and be like, it's okay for me to go play a video game and totally not talk to Ruth for the next 24 hours. Of course, that wasn't okay.
I was a nanny and had one kid that I watched, and I didn't have interaction with any other adults. And so, like, when he came home, I was like,
her vocabulary was yes, no,
It was sign
juice.
language.
Those 3 words. Yes, no, juice.
And so, like, I was very, like, wanting his connection, wanting to talk with another human being.
Yeah.
And so that was just really hard on our schedules. We just did not max. He worked 12 hours. I worked, like, 40 to 80 hours a week, like, with this family. And so it was just a really hard time.
And that's where the stressors come in. So we put this down on here because once you hit AutoPilot, you're complacent. You're just in this mode inside your relationship with each other. You get the stressors of like finances or major life changes, things like that. And when you hit those things, if you're not connected, if you're in that AutoPilot mode, it usually takes you by surprise. You usually don't feel fully prepared for whatever comes your way. The stressors, okay, going down from there in my notes, what I want you to do, and then this will be part of our growth moment Ruth will talk about here in just a little bit, but we want you to talk about this to your spouse. This is one of the biggest things for us. Communication was huge, but we talked about when we lost connection, and we're like, okay, we started backing up in the days or even weeks, and I was like, okay, when did we actually did this with the hospital, some of the video games, and now we're obviously going to have to talk more about that.
We don't play video games.
We don't have time for video games. Video game is called life now. It's called kids, and you can't control those.
You can't shut them off.
Yeah, you can just anyway. We keep getting off subject here. Okay, so you want to ask your spouse about when did you lose connection. It could be with Ruth, like what we'll do. Let's give them an example. So a couple of weeks ago, we went on a vacation. Well, we're just getting raw and real. Ruth and I got in a spat. And so anyway, what we started doing once we got in the car and we're pretty much yelling at each other at this point, we're like, okay, what happened? When did we start losing connection with one another? What did you say? What did I say? And we started to break it down. And then finally, Holy Spirit wants to help you in your marriage. I don't know if you know this or not, but He'll show you things about yourself that might make you cringe, but He'll reveal things and you can start bringing things back to your remembrance. Okay, this is what I said. This is what you said. And then you start to work those things out. Why are you laughing?
That's a hard fight.
It was stupid. And it was me not communicating. So, anyway.
Yes, it was.
Whew, we're just glad we didn't have a camera on during that day. There would be no more Marriage Monday. Okay, second thing we're going to talk about would be romancing.
Yes.
Okay, so this is a huge one. And what I want to say about romancing kind of right off the top is that, Ruth, would you agree or not agree that it looks different from everybody's point of view? Like, your way that you're romanced looks different than the way that I'm romanced.
Yes.
The way that I'm romanced, like, Ruth and I, when we first started off, when we were married, the way that I was romanced is like, okay, I have a deer rifle. There's a deer lease. Let's get in the truck. Let's go. And we're going to go shoot something. And then we're going to gut it. And we're going to have blood all over us. And then you're going to look so sexy because you have blood all over you and guts. And then we're going to go, to the house and process a deer. All right. So that was romancing to me. And Ruth did a very good job of it.
Yeah.
Why are you laughing?
Guys, it was not romance to me. It was sacrifice.
There's so many things that are coming out tonight. Video games, and you don't like hunting.
No, but I did those things because I loved you and because I wanted to connect with you.
Yes. All right, so romancing as a definition, just for you to kind of help you remember this, even if you're taking notes. All right. Romancing is I don't have to think about you, I get to think about you. It's like a privilege. I don't have to think about you, or it's not a chore for me to dream up ways to romance you or to think about you or to do all these things. I get to. It's an honor for me to actually serve you as my spouse. It's an honor for me as my partner in this life to give you everything that I have as a servant.
That's great.
That's good. All right. Now, here's the next thing about romancing. Do you agree or disagree? romancing should improve the longer you're married.
Yes.
Why is that?
Because you get to know each other, you get to learn each other, and years go down the road and you know each other more than anybody.
Yep.
So
And
you should be able to give them the things that they need. And especially if you're communicating and learning each other,
yeah.
then it'll get easier and easier.
Yeah. With a disclaimer. Like, it gets easier, yes, because you're learning more things, but you still want to serve your spouse.
Right.
And then that part really does get easier. Because there are things that I know about Ruth. I mean, I don't know about video games, but there are things I know about Ruth that I know that she loves certain chocolates. I know that she loves certain movies, things like that. And if I want to romance her, if I want to take it out of autopilot and actually say, hey, I'm going to engage her, I'm going to pursue her, then I can do those things. You should, guys, challenge to the men, you should be learning things about your wife weekly, at least. What, daily? Should I say daily?
No.
Guys, every hour you should be learning something new about your wife. She's making it difficult for me. I'm like sweating over here.
Weekly is fine.
Okay, weekly. Thank you, Ruth, for giving grace to the men. All right, anything you want to say to the women? Give them some challenges or something. No?
No, just finding out mainly what speaks romance to him. Like the hunting and the video games, those are things that you just get into his world. And so sometimes it is having to die to myself to sacrifice. No, it's like, okay, would you want to spend a whole weekend going hunting, or would I want to spend a weekend at a spa relaxing and getting a massage?
Can you kill anything at the spa?
You cannot. So
Okay.
there is just like the way I would spend a fun weekend is completely different than the way that he would. And so I learned early on that I was going to do those things because I wanted us to have a long marriage. Like I wanted us to have where our worlds came together. And so it is each other giving and sacrificing.
Yep. All right. One more thing we wanted to tag inside the romancing thing is that I think it's a big stressor sometimes with lots of people. Children are a gift from God. They are, I should have written this down or looked it up. The children are the arrows in the quiver of a warrior.
Yeah.
Blessed are and I can't remember. I'm so sorry. Y'all can, bash me on Facebook or whatever you want to. But anyway, they really are a blessing. But the problem is sometimes you step on that arrow and it hurts. And so children are a huge blessing, but you're not in a covenant relationship as far as a marriage relationship with your children. I'm not married to my sons or daughter. I'm not, in a relationship with them like that, but
I'm gonna grow up. They're gonna leave our house, and then it's gonna be us.
Then you're stuck with me, Ruth. So then, anyway, the reason I'm saying this and putting this in here, a part of romancing. Remember that your children are a blessing, but sometimes mom and dad have to say, get your butt in bed, and it's time to go to bed right now. Or say, hey, we're going away for the night. If they're old enough, you don't want to leave, a 2-year-old at the house. But what you want to do is take time for one another. Remember that your children are a blessing, but sometimes you got to tell them, hey, and draw that line.
Yeah.
I need to romance mom. I'm going to take her on a date. I'm going to do these things. And you don't want your children to take part of that.
Right.
Because if they do, then you'll realize in
And
15 years.
Yeah, that you have nothing in common with this guy.
Yeah, that your only thing in common were your
Or
children.
And
so
that's so sad when you can see that in a marriage, and then the children leave, and then you're not anywhere. Like there's a huge, big gap that you don't know this person. And I feel like that's a lot of times why marriages fall apart, because you spend so much time investing into these children and
which is
pouring
not a
your
bad
lives
thing.
into them. Yes. But they also need to know boundaries.
Yes.
And they also need to know mommy and daddy's relationship comes before the children.
Yeah.
So
That sounded harsh. Ruth.
I know it does, but it is. It's true.
It's true.
Because if you don't cultivate this, then when they leave, and they'll suck you dry, every ounce of you. Take it all.
Golly.
They will. That's what you got to teach them. And we'll do that sometimes if we've had a hard day or something's going on, where we'll just say, okay, mommy and daddy need a little bit, and we'll go on the back porch. They can see us, but they're not allowed to come outside. And so just having What?
Just thinking several times we've locked the door and we've walked outside and they're sitting there screaming, banging on the glass, and we're just like, we can't hear you. We don't care. There's no blood. But like you said, we're cultivating our relationship.
That mommy and daddy need time together, and it's about us right now, and not about them, because they get 90% of our time. So when it's our time, it's our time.
Yeah.
So
And that's an encouragement to you. I'm just throwing it out there. These are some kind of freebies and stuff to actually give you the freedom to say that, because you've never thought maybe before with your children, but you don't have to feel guilty. You don't have to feel like you're a bad parent. You just say, hey, my children are going to grow up seeing a healthy marriage, and they're going to see a man and a woman of God just in complete love with one another. And so keep that on your burner. All right, tell us about value.
Value. So just number one is how you need to figure out how you communicate value to each other, and because like I said before, each of us say value is something different, and so how do I value you? How do you feel valued by me?
Right.
For me, when he sends me texts, when he just random text messages, not just about anything, like how much he loves me and all of that. So like those things, then they cheer me up. They make me like, okay, he was thinking about me. He didn't have to do that. And then, so verbally, and it also comes back to your love languages. So whatever your love languages are, that's usually how you're going to communicate value to them. Mine are acts of service. So when he does stuff for me, like changing my headlights.
I changed her headlights today.
Yes, he did.
Now she can see at night. It was not only safe, but it communicated value.
Yes, it did. But the things that when he does stuff like that take care of me, when he throws laundry in and starts loads for me, like things like that, that he cares about me, that he's wanting to help me, that's a lot of times what speaks value to me. And then just whatever, to put any type of mental or emotional energy into something. Notes on the mirror, he's done that before. Flowers at work before, like just things like that. Like there's just little things that you can show somebody that you value
And
them.
flowers is a big deal for her.
Yeah.
She once told me, this is a little rabbit trail, she once told me to stop buying her flowers. Guys, well, gals, I need you to talk to this woman here and rebuke her. Now, I can buy you a flower.
Yes, you can buy me
while.
flowers. I just see like that's so much money put into flowers that are going to die. I don't have a love relationship with flowers. Flowers do not
Guys,
like
y'all
me.
can pray for me. You see how difficult it is
Yes, I know. I'm sorry.
to show her value. Anyway, keep going.
Once a year I can receive flowers.
Once a year in the spring, and I probably have to grow them.
So, no. So, for our growth moment today, we just wanted you guys to find out what speaks value, or find out what speaks value to your spouse. So, just taking the time to ask them and figure out what I could do this week that would speak value to you, and that would show you that I love you.
And this is good because we're just asking you if you could find one thing to talk to your spouse and say, okay, I feel valued when you meet me at the door when I come home from work and just we have a conversation, or I see value when you take me on a date. And so our whole goal this week for you to grow in your marriage is for you to find at least one thing to connect with your spouse. And what you'll notice is once you start taking these little things, then they just start snowballing into bigger things, and you'll see that your spouse actually does value you.
Yeah.
So, anything else you want to say?
Nope.
All right. Well, Ruth, pray us out this week, and we will see you next week.
Father, we just thank you for these lovely couples, God, and I
Yes.
just ask that you would bless them this week, that they would be able to find the things that speak value inside of their marriage, Father, and that if they're going through something inside their marriage, that they would just be able to come together and figure it out, God, that they would just be able to hash through things and talk about things that need to be talked about, God, and we just ask you for blessings this week. Amen.
Amen. Hey, guys, we'll see you next week. Remember, tune in because we have something very special. We have a couple on the show that we're very excited about, and so we will see you next Monday.
See you later.